When's the right time to buy a house? Well, let's get into it.
All right, welcome guys. I'm joined by Rod, a lender here in Michigan, and we're going to be talking today about the importance of buying now versus waiting. So Rod, what's your opinion? When's the right time to buy?
The right time to buy is if you don't own a home. Real estate has been the greatest asset in anybody's portfolio as far as families and the middle class and stuff like that growing forward. So, people are, they're waiting for the right time to the market, whether it's, rates or whatnot. But if you don't own a home, you're missing out on future growth. So as a general statement, that's it.
Yeah.
And again, if we get into the whys you don't wait, it's the devil you know versus the devil you don't.
Yeah, you're losing that appreciation the longer you wait to buy. I know that's the case a lot of times. People think that if they wait a little bit longer, the market's going to get better. But it's just one of those things we really don't see that. I know even going back to the 70s, we lost the gold standard back then, and people were thinking that's going to be a huge major crisis. We still saw home values going up then. In the 80s, interest rates were up around 20%. We're still seeing home values go up. And kind of building off that a little bit now, people are a little concerned about our interest rates at this point. But I always like to touch back. Looking back in history, they were up around 20, almost pushing 25% back in the 80s. So it's one of those things that is relative, and I think that our 7% is a pretty standard rate.
It is, and to that point, there's a meme that goes around in our industry about an individual who, in 1972, rates were at 7.25, and he said rates are too high, and so he's going to wait for the rates to come down. That individual didn't buy a house until 1994, because that's when the rates came down below 7.25. Home prices had quadrupled in that same 22-year period. I might have my dates a little off, but not by far. They had quadrupled in that same period. So yes, did he get less than 7.25? He did, but he certainly lost out in the market. You look at waiting for rates to come down and compare that to what the appreciation is doing in homes. I've run some samples, and it basically kind of goes, if homes go 3 to 5% is a typical appreciation,
Pretty
right?
standard,
So if a home goes up 4%, but the rate comes down 0.5%, right? That's a good thing. Rates came down, but the home goes up. At the end of the day, that payment, by the time you have a little higher taxes, a little higher insurance with that higher price, by the time you get done with it, you've got the same payment next year that you could have had this year, although the rate was higher. So, what is it about buying a house today versus waiting tomorrow from a price point?
Yeah, and I think the important thing to look at that is just what's your payment going to be? Because it really doesn't matter. Like you were saying, even if rates go down a little bit, that value is going to go up 3 to 4%, 5, 6. You never really know. And like you say all the time, it's the devil you know versus the devil you don't. And it really comes down to your payment. And the sooner you can get in that house, the more you're going to reap the benefits of that continued appreciation. And the longer you wait, the more those home values are going to go up, and the harder and harder it's going to be, not only for the purchase price, but then also with inflation, our closing costs are going to be going up, and the line just keeps going on.
Well, and with that, as the price goes up, when you put money into the home, you should be able to get that down payment back.
Yeah.
What do they see as a timeline for, assuming that kind of 4% appreciation, where somebody is going to say, look, I put my down payment in, I've been making these payments, I don't want to lose my money. Where does that timeline kind of set?
Yeah, and that really just depends on how much home values have appreciated, especially here in West Michigan. It's really a hyper-local market, and you see all these big news headlines on the national level, but it really is different place to place. So it really depends on your neighborhood's appreciation value, but generally speaking, it can be anywhere from 1 to 5 years to be able to return that benefit. And it is one of those things a lot of people think, well, I like it here, I'm going to be here for the next few years, but I'm not positive this is where I'm going to live forever. At the end of the day, if you don't own a home, you should be buying a home, because either you're going and you're buying a home and you're putting your payment into it and you're getting that equity out, or you're renting.
Right. Well, and to that devil you know and devil you don't, I had a client, 2022, summer of, rates were about 5 3/8, And I remember this client specific, and she was looking at a condo in the Byron Center area.
Mm-hmm.
She reached out to me again this year, so we're 3 years later.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, rates were too high, prices were too high. She didn't want to buy. She says, "Hey, I want to get back in the market," and sends me a condo in the same complex that she was shopping in previously.
Yeah.
Rates were now 6 5/8
Mm-hmm.
higher.
Mm-hmm.
And that price, instead of being 2 1/4, I think she was in 2022, was 270, 269.9. So the home had gone up $50,000 and the interest rate had gone up. And again, that's the devil she didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Had she known that devil, she probably would have bought 3 years ago and capitalized on that appreciation.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing with rates that a lot of people overlook is, well, we are high right now because we came off of COVID where we were seeing down low threes. I think it's one of those things a lot of people are overlooking, the fact that our average is right around a 7%. Right now, depending on what program you go with, you're looking 6 to 8%. Is that right?
Yeah, the interest rates are very much tied to an individual. Mm-hmm. Everybody talks about, well, my neighbor got this rate, my coworker got that rate. That's their rates. Your credit scores, your down payment, how much are you putting down, the loan program, whether you're a veteran with VA, FHA, conventional, utilizing MSHDA's down payment assistance, or maybe their rate incentive programs. But are you buying a condo, a manufacturer? There's so many factors that go into rate. It's really hard to say that, well, my neighbor got X, or I saw this online, because that's just marketing rates. And at the end of the day, what is your rate? Because that's really what applies to you. And at the end of the day, the mortgage rate is way better than the rental rate. Mm-hmm. Rental's 100%. You might as well just burn the dollars. Whereas owning a home, you have that opportunity. And I've seen clients, you said 1 to 5 years. I've had clients who sell a house in 2 to 3 years. Mm-hmm. And not only are they getting back the money they put into it, but they're actually capitalizing and getting some additional. And not that I'd sell to anybody that in 2 to 3 years you're going to get more money back. But the idea is, you have an opportunity to get that money back. In the rental situation, you have no opportunity to get that money back.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times people look at too, is it a seller's market, is it a buyer's market? Right. And it is good to know that, but at the same time, there's really only so much you can do about that. Really, all you can control is your personal finances. And at the end of the day, if you can afford something, you can afford something. The rates are going to continue, the appreciation value is going to continue to go up regardless. So really, it's important to just get in, even if it is a seller's market right now, like we're seeing here in West Michigan. It's one of those things, you either continuing to put money into an asset, renting a house, or you're just losing that money, or you buy something, even though it is a seller's market, and then you still get the appreciation value and can reap those benefits in the future.
Well, and when I work with a lot of first-time home buyers, I've got some that, they go out, they make an offer on their first house, they win the day, they're like, what's the problem? I've got other clients who've shopped for a year, they throw their hands up and say, I'm done with this for a while. But for the most part, people just stay at it and you become a homeowner. And, to your point of a seller's market, sometimes you got a house that's listed at $250 and you might have to offer $260 to win the day. Well, I'm not going to overpay. I have so many clients that wouldn't overpay, and I put the air quotes up. That same house 3 years later is listed at $300,000. They could have had it overpaying at $260. Now it's back on the market at $300. They go, oh, that's a good deal. Or they won't overpay on the $300 when they really need to go to $310. The point is that the market is a seller's market, but if you can get aggressive, Collin can get the right negotiated terms, find a way to get you to become a homeowner. That's really the deal. You're not trying to get the best rate. You're not trying to get the best price. You're trying, what your goal is to be a homeowner. So whether it's the family, the newlyweds, the kids, the school district, whatever it is for your goal, maybe it's you're just graduated college or the trades and you're just getting your employment and it's just you as single guy, single gal want to just kind of start to build some equity. Point is, having that home ownership allows you to build the equity. We're not having home ownership. You don't have that opportunity.
Really, at the end of the day, it's the market that dictates the home price, market that dictates the interest rate. And the truth is, if you can afford your payment, you can afford a house. And if you're not buying that house, you're losing out on your worth at the end of the day.
Exactly, and particularly for the younger folks, first-time home buyers, we always talk about growing into your payment a little bit. Where I can't afford that payment. Well, if you can make it work from a math perspective, we can make it work. You can too. And with that, even it might be a little higher. If you're younger, you're in your growth of income years. So the opportunity, that payment's not going to go skyrocketing like your rent has been doing over the last few years. That payment's going to stay more steady, let your income grow, and that payment will actually get smaller over time.
Yeah.
At least how it will feel against your income.
Yeah, and that's the nice thing is when you buy that house, you pay that purchase price, and you have your loan amount. Say it's a $260 home. Your loan amount's for $260 until the day that mortgage is paid off. It doesn't go up. It doesn't jump to $270. It doesn't jump to $280. Once you get that payment, that's it.
Right.
And I think the big thing with that is just really getting in early, so that way you're being able to get those payments consistently at the lower rate. Same thing when you rent. That rent's going to be increased every single year. The longer you put in, not only you're tossing money away, but it's continuing to escalate. Your landlord's asking for more and more and more each year.
Yeah.
So on that note, what would you recommend for somebody that's kind of in the boat where they want to buy soon? Maybe a good way to kind of get in the practice of being able to make those payments and seeing what they really can afford.
For those people, particularly that's still living at home, going, I want to buy a house in the next 3 to 6 to 12 months, 2 years, whatever it might be. If you're living at home and you have your employment and you're just trying to save money, I suggest making your housing payment. If you think you can afford a $1,500 payment, $1,000 payment, a $2,000, whatever it is, and maybe it's your fiance and she's still living at home too, and you guys create a joint bank account, make your payment. Because when you make a mortgage payment, you can't go get that money back.
Yeah, no.
It's gone. Right? You can't say, hey, I'm a little short this month, send me some money back. So when you put this money into the savings account, making your monthly mortgage payment or your monthly rental payment into a savings account, you cannot go touch it again. Yeah. If you do, you've just, I don't want to say failed, but you're just not quite ready yet. You're not ready yet. If you can do that for 6 months, 2 things are going to happen. One, you're going to understand what it is to make a monthly mortgage payment or rental payment, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you're also, at the end of that 6 months, going to have saved up some money. Yeah. So now you've got a little bit of money in the bank. You've got a little bit of understanding about how that payment's going to work out. And you're going to go into home ownership with a much, much better confidence level.
Yeah, and what I really love about that strategy, say it is the case where you're saving up $2,000 over 6 months. Like you said, you've got a good down payment right there. Yeah. That's totally reasonable for something where you've got $12,000 saved up for your down payment. You take advantage of some programs, and then we go out and we get you a house where your payment's going to be $2,000 a month. It's a totally reasonable situation. So it builds maturity as well as building up that down payment for you.
Well, and you kind of bring up down payment, one of the other misconceptions, because that's what we're talking about, is that you got to have 20% down to buy a house, and you don't.
Yeah.
Private mortgage insurance, and people are like, oh, I don't want mortgage insurance.
Yeah.
You want to be able to build equity. And if you can get into a home with 3 to 5% down or less, we have some programs at 1% and 0%, depending on the location type program. Yeah. But if you can get in with or without mortgage insurance, you can begin to build equity. And that misconception of waiting for 20% down, all you're doing is chasing those prices, because that 20% number keeps getting bigger because the prices keep getting higher.
Yeah. And a lot of people get scared off by the PMI, and they're thinking that extra payment's going to be on there. But really what I look at with that is your appreciation in that house is typically going to be somewhere between 3 to 5%. So you're looking close. If it's a $250,000 house, you're looking right around 10 plus grand in appreciation value that you're losing out on.
And the mortgage insurance premium on a average day on that might be $1,000 for the year.
Yeah.
So yes, putting down not 20%, did that cost you $1,000 more dollars? Yes, but take the $10,000 in appreciation.
You lost
if you didn't buy because you didn't want to pay the $1,000, you basically lost the $9 in gain. And that's where time value, right? Or investment. You have to invest in that to make it happen.
Yeah. And the longer you sit on the sideline, the harder it is. Just like an athlete, the longer they sit out, the harder it's going to be for them to get back in the game. So it's one of those things, the sooner you can jump into it, the better off it is. So with that conclusion here, Rod, when's the time to buy?
if you don't own a house, now is the time to buy. Home ownership and real estate is the number one investment over time. I mean, you've seen the numbers on the real estate side.
Yeah.
You know, there's something you were telling me the other day about wealth. There's a certain percentage that, wealth is created by real estate. There's 70% of most homes wealth or something.
Yeah, so about 30 to 40%
Okay.
of a millionaire's wealth is traditionally held in real estate.
Gotcha.
Obviously, that does vary household to household. Some millionaires are strictly stocks, but generally speaking, it's right around 30 to 40% of a millionaire's net worth, which obviously a millionaire doesn't hold the value it did back in the day. But at the same point, that's a goal that a lot of people, especially in the first-time home buyers range, have, is a goal to get to that point.
Well, and I would think too, a younger person, the millionaire you've been in, you've got your 401k going and you're doing other things. For younger people, I would think that percentage of their net worth, it's actually a
Even
bigger
higher.
percentage, right?
For sure.
So, and
the sooner you can get that home paid off too, the more you have money left over to be able to invest in other things. So even if you are a big stock, crypto guy, whatever, get your house paid off. Then you have that money that would have been going to rent otherwise, and you can use that money to be able to invest.
And the other nice thing about equity in a home is it's equity, it's not cash. It's a little harder to go spend it, right?
Yeah.
So when you get that luxury item, I want to go buy a boat or I want to go do this. It's not like just going and withdrawing the money from the bank.
Yeah.
It's a little harder to get to that equity, which kind of slows people's roll, and those impulse buys slow down a little bit. It's, I don't want to say a forced savings, but it's kind of a hidden savings.
Yeah.
And you don't really look at it. And then you go to sell later or refinance or do something. Oh my gosh, look at what I've got.
Yeah.
But there's a thing for stocks, and I think it's the same for real estate too. It's not about timing the market. And then we talk about interest rates and prices, but time in the market. In other words, home ownership. The longer you own real estate, the more you will gain.
Yeah. Similar to any stock out there. So
Yeah.
Awesome.
Right.
Well, thank you, Rod. I appreciate your time.
Yep.
So.